There we go. Hey,
Hey,
Claire.
how are things? Apologies.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, sorry about yeah, the technical delay here. Appreciate you joining us, and yeah, excited for our presentation today. So yeah, I'll just I'll keep the intro quick. Again, this is part of the Startup Grind Boston chapter. We're the local chapter of one of several hundred groups across the world. Excited to partner up with Kara and the HubSpot team today and deliver everybody a great workshop here on how you get basically the new trends and what AI is doing to um, the formation of teams and how they scale together. So, tiny teams, big results, how AI is rewriting the scaling playbook. Um, Kara, you should see a button at the bottom that says share screen. There you go. And yeah, everybody else in the chat, feel free to introduce yourselves. Build connections. Appreciate Jerry also giving a share there, and keep it interactive if you want to put questions along the way, and then we'll have some extra time at the end to answer them. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Super. Very welcome to today's conversation, team. And thank you, Jason. You were the one who should have been late, considering you just had a new arrival in your family, and it was myself. So appreciate everybody holding on and waiting for us to kick off. So we can all see the screens. And what I would say is a very, very welcome to today's conversation. Tiny teams, big results, how AI is rewriting the scaling playbook. And I'm really glad you're all here. And to Jason's point, by all means, let's use the chat. And if you're leading a startup right now, you probably already know the challenges that you've got: big goals, small teams, and a to-do list, I suppose, that somehow gets longer every day. So without further ado, Jason, will we kick off?
Yeah, let's kick off.
Perfect. Okay, so this is the title of today's conversation. I am 4 p.m. in Ireland, 4:13 now. As Jason said, my name is Cara Kennedy, and I'm currently working in HubSpot, probably over a decade on multiple different teams, from marketing, sales, partnerships, and now on the HubSpot for Startups team. I'm based in Ireland, and the focus of today's conversation is very simple. Uh, I suppose we're going to dive into how really you can combine HubSpot's CRM with some cutting edge AI tools. You've got a very four-step simple setup here in terms of how you can, I suppose, do things smarter, make faster growth decisions. And even if your sales team or yourself or who you're employing is just you and your laptop, we'll be showing you how to support that situation. We're going to focus on a few simple things. We're going to start with a warm icebreaker, warm up, some sales overview, how teamwork wins, and we're going to do a collaborative challenge. We're going to focus on AEO, which is AI enhanced outreach, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and the connectors, how we can use smarter follow-up summaries and content creation. Your favorite ICPs, the famous ideal customer profile overview, and how we can dynamically use this to attract the right people to the business. Breeze AI, loop marketing, and a few more keywords. Okay, so if this sounds good, I'd like to say throughout the session, let's keep it very practical, fast moving, and I suppose real. Not all theory, just things that we can take back and implement today if that works for you. So yeah, as always, as Jason said, let's make it a Q&A session along the way. So drop your questions in anytime. And yeah, whether it's about how to, set up your AI stack or employ someone into the business, or, see what's actually worth it to your time as a lean founder. Ideally, you should today walk away with a bit of a new playbook. I'm going to make this session a bit competitive. I was in Boulder, Colorado 2 weeks ago, and I got a signed copy of a Brad Feld Give First book. So we're going to have that as a prize. And then we've got a lot of branding updates on HubSpot side. So we're going to send a water bottle to one of the successful winners today, if that's okay with everybody. Maybe put a thumbs up in the chat. Okay, guys. So let's start. Let's kick off. And yeah, Let's tiny teams are driving big results. So to begin, I'd like to ask everybody on the call very simply, what if your mood was a weather forecast, what would it be today? So maybe put the answer in the chat just to see how everybody. Bill's got a thumbs up, and he's got an Irish surname as well. Meredith, beautiful. Me too. I like your style. Brisk Roy, interesting. I've never heard that one, and I asked 50 students that question yesterday. Will, sunny and bright. Okay, we have a lot of positive people on the call. Fantastic. Cloud with a bit of sun. Great. Let's keep it moving. Oh, Brianna, fantastic. Partially sunny. Let's be honest. Let's be transparent here. You're all founders. It's not all bright skies. Partially sunny with some lovely breezes. That sounds like Ireland today, Bill. Jason, a bit of mix. Well, look, you've new baby. The fact that you have a bit of sun in there is pretty positive. Rock and roll, Vitaly. Where are you based that you're on fire? I hope it's a positive on fire. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. And again, let's get the momentum going and set the sentiment. So if you could instantly master one hobby, and I know there's a lot on your plates, what would it be? Just out of curiosity. Golf, Meredith. I had a class from Florida. I didn't realize how big golf was yesterday until I spoke to a group of young people. So Meredith has got golf. Anybody else? If any hobby at all. Gardening, martial arts, cooking, yeah, to keep you up and running. Crochet, that's nice, relaxing one. Playing jazz, that is pretty hardcore. I'd say that's a lifetime of practice. Writing engaging content. Wilson, I could actually probably potentially help you with that today. So that should be hopefully a kickstart for you. Again, Jason, feel free to add yours into the chat. Playing golf is in there 3 times. Martial arts. Okay, so we've got a lot of different hobbies. Working 7 days a week to raise money. Who has time for hobbies? Okay, you know, might as well hit it straight there, Gerald. So yeah, guys, let's kick off. We have a brief idea of who's on the call, who likes crochet, playing jazz, and who just wants to get started. So again, setting the scene. Starting a company has never been easier. Scaling a company has never been harder. So again, you're all in the trenches. Do you agree or disagree with this saying? Just put a yes or no into the chat. What are you thinking? I have no. Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay, mixed reviews. Agree. Why do you think that? Again, oof, what is this? Okay, there's a lot going on in this famous Martech slide. You've got hundreds, if not thousands, of different companies globally, from affiliate marketing to e-com. When HubSpot started 14 years ago, there was 4 different automation tools on the market. Now there's 14,000. So again, food for thought. Scaling your business, yeah, rock and roll. Good news, you've lots of options. Bills on par. Gerald, starting and funding are both difficult, especially developing cures for women. I'm interested to see what you're doing in your business, Gerald, but I agree. You've so many options. Getting started has probably never been easier, but of course, getting started right is probably tougher than ever. Okay, so you have lots of options. As Gerald said, working 7 days a week, raising money, there's lots happening. So where do you even begin? Okay, so again, a question for the audience today. How many tools are you using at the moment to do business? How many tools are you using? You get up, what do you look at? Is it ChatGPT, Gmail, Shopify? Maybe put a ballpark figure in there. You know, you need to send an email, you need a marketing tool to do that. You know, you see ads everywhere. What do you use? Okay, you need to sign up for that too. You've leads but no way to track them, so you sign up for a CRM. As someone said, Wilson, you need to write engaging content. Okay, is that a blog? I feel like SEO has fallen off a cliff recently. What do I do there? How many tools are you using? Okay, so we've got, again, probably usually people say 10 to 12. It depends on what industry you're in. But yeah, an awful lot of time will be opening up 10 to 15 different tools. And the problem with that approach means the more tools, the more time spent managing tools, a lot more time. So again, to everybody's point, we're all, we're not in, we're on fire, we're sunny, we've got a bit of cloud, but we have a to-do list. You sign up for the email tool, you sync between a plugin and a CRM, you sync between a scheduling app and a CRM. You saw me today trying to dial into Startup Grind, probably very simple link, and I couldn't do it fast enough. So there's a lot happening. All of a sudden you realize, okay, maybe I'm spending more time tools doing IT than actually marketing. So again, Gerard's put in, any business is illegal for us until the FTA. Okay, I know this. I did a health tech webinar recently. The FTA was a big deal. HIPAA was a big deal. Allows sales in 2 years, so long sales process. We have a few pains in there already. But it's not just you. When you're marketing, when you're sales, what you're selling, to everybody's point, is dependent on a pile of tools that actually talk to each other. Your customers are the end goal in terms of closing a deal. People notice, and not for the right reasons. So again, scaling has never been easier, maybe, but the worst part of scaling, as your business grows, often you'll outgrow a lot of these tools. So you have to rip them out and often get back to where you're starting. So today we want to focus about things that, maybe we don't have. Time, energy, not enough customers. We don't want to waste this, okay? So we've got, again, this is going to move fairly fast, but we've 6 big logos here. So I put some American logos in because I feel everybody on the call is probably familiar with these. My question to the guys on the call today, what do these logos have in common? Any ideas what these logos have in common? Again, no answer is wrong. Just put in your first thought. So Brianna, we haven't heard a lot from you since crochet. I hope you haven't taken up that and called it a day. What do these logos have in common? So I'll give you a guess. They've all got IPO in the last 10 years. Dollar Shave Club was actually bought for $1 billion by Unilever. DTC brands, what does that stand for, Jason? Direct to customer brands, is it?
Yeah, direct to consumer.
Sorry, my acronyms are very bad at the moment, but exactly. That's a good point. Direct to consumer. They're all SaaS, which is reoccurring revenue, MRR, monthly reoccurring revenue, consumer brand, exactly. Business model innovation, excellent point. So that's some very good points. These are actually built into our lives as well. So when you wake up in the morning, you might say, Alexa, can you play, rock and roll, or Spotify, or ring Lyft or Uber? Can you pick me up? So they're building data all the time in terms of who we are, what our lifestyle choices are. Still seeing, is it still the Schmitz Creek style, Gerard? Jason, which one are you?
I see the 4 or 6 logos.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe try to refresh her.
Okay, so everybody's correct here. These 6 logos under 10 years, gone IPO. They're also built into our lives. They're the reoccurring model. And they're, of course, as we said, direct to consumer and building that data as we go day to day. So this is old school here now. I'm going to go real old school to really set the stage. So who remembers a funnel model? Just a yes or a no into the chat. Okay, Jason is shaking. Yeah, he's absolutely okay. Everybody, okay, we've an older group here because the guys I was talking to yesterday never even heard of it. What about the flywheel model? Is everybody familiar with the famous flywheel, the Amazon model? Excellent, Brianna. Okay, so we've got people that were ahead of the curve. So the flywheel is actually out, the funnel is out, but the difference here is, long ago, like the BANT model, budget authority, needs timeline, where marketing would generate leads, fantastic, pass them to sales, and then out pops the customer. But the customer was often love the flywheel. I actually love the flywheel as well, Meredith, but there's been a change. There's a new diagram on the block, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But so that worked very well for a time. But then if you think of these businesses like this model where the customer is at the heart, the red there, and you're generating the flywheel, you're attracting, conversing, closing, and delighting, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and your CRM is at the center. That's like probably a lot of those logos that you saw before. But there has been change in the last few months, and that's what we're going to talk about today. As you probably know, there's been a huge shift with AI, huge shift with people reading, huge shift with people searching, and that's what we're going to focus on today, about people relying heavily on sales, but now using different things in order to achieve the deal. It's a very good point there a while ago. I think that this is Gerard, any business. So Gerard, you're dealing with a bit of red tape from what I can see. How long is your sales process on average? Is it 2 years, or do you know? So is anybody dealing with long sales processes, or maybe just put in your average, maybe average how long it takes to close a deal, or your average deal size. So we've got the famous movie up here, The Notebook, and he's saying, what do you want? Okay, so what does this mean for us as founders? Sales are illegal right now. Okay, that's is that true? I've seen people, yeah, okay. Sales for you, maybe you can expand on that. And I was in an event there about 2 years ago, and there was this American guy, actually, he was from Tennessee, and he was a multimillionaire, and he spoke to the audience, and he said, he made a couple of million, and he lost a couple of million, and he made a couple of million again. And they asked him, how did you do that? And he said, it's very simple. You ask people what they want, and you give it to them, and that's it. So how come I very oversimplified, but Gerard medical devices. Okay, Gerard, I've probably a good presentation for you, but yeah, let's talk about this in more detail. So again, old school. Persona marketing Mary. Anybody familiar with this? Meredith, you seem to be in this inbound system. If you're familiar with the Flymail, ho-hum devices can be approved. Okay, so yeah, 14 years ago, HubSpot was a startup. Didn't have any money, didn't have any time, didn't have any customers. So basically, they had to generate 3 types of customers, and they chose Marketing Mary, Enterprise Aaron, who worked in a big Fortune 500 maybe company with a marketing team, and they chose Agency Ian, who would essentially come to countries like Ireland and resell as an agency partner. Now again, no time, no money, and probably a software that wasn't that good. So they had to choose one ICP, as we call them now, or persona, to go after. Does anybody know which persona they chose to go after? Was it Enterprise Aaron, Marketing Mary, or Agency Ian? I'm going to keep this quite simple. So yeah, the answer is actually here, and they chose Marketing Mary. Any reason why we chose Marketing Mary to get started? Again, feel free to put it in the chat. Evangelize the product. Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Yeah, she was in line with the decision maker. Small business, SMBs are the backbone of the US. Gerard has 3 patient segments. Excellent. But again, when you choose your persona, and she would use the product, which is brilliant. So we have adoption, and then she would ideally, to your point, Meredith, evangelize the product, everything going correct. And then over time, because Marketing Mary was doing all that, we developed Enterprise Aaron, who would be a long sales cycle, which we suggested. But we would have the cash flow and budget with the Marketing Marys to keep building the business. Then over time, when we wanted to go to Italy and all these great places with different languages and cultures, we used the agency profile. And then over time, we realized, okay, well, Marketing Mary is actually become Marketing Michelle. She doesn't use BlackBerry anymore. She uses iPhone. She's moved out. She's had 4 more kids. Life has changed, and now she's working in an enterprise company. And we have Growth Gary, guys like yourselves. I only talk to growth, which is 20% of HubSpot's revenue, which is startups, people that are entrepreneurs, have a personal brand. Everything's yesterday, too late, not afraid of software. So again, these are very important. Meet Growth Gabby. Growth Gabby was created in HubSpot only 6 months ago, based on all the changes in terms of all the updates with AI, all the different types of transformations that are happening. She's more innovative. She prefers automation. So we would suggest, yes, nail your ICP. There's a build your ICP there link, and it's always good to keep changing these. And of course, we can't sell to everyone. So create that negative persona. Maybe I don't want to sell to a student. Maybe I don't want to sell to someone like me in Dublin, Ireland. So again, getting these nailed, understanding exactly what people want is vital. Okay, so again, setting the scene. Gerard has three patient segments, very interesting. Again, put in how many ICPs or personas you have. And this is another type of persona I had to speak to before, Agustin Rotondo. Okay, this guy is leading up partnerships in Telefonica, which is one of our largest partners in HubSpot for startups. And I was trying to get in touch with him for weeks. Eventually, he answered a video where I spoke Spanish on LinkedIn to say hello. Is there any reason he responded to that video? Again, I did it via Vidyard. You've lots of options. You've Loom. And Joe's put in there what the FM and educating doctors and patients allowed. Okay, we will sell. Nice. Any idea why this guy, head of partnerships in Telefonica, responded to this? Like this might not be something that your buyer personas would responded. They allow it. Okay. So again, when I got in touch, I said, Jerome or Augustine, why did you respond to this? He said, Cara, I'm super busy. I have no time for reading emails. I have no time. I'm in my car. I listened on the headphones. I understood what you said and I thought it was relevant. So I responded. Again, back to what we're saying, food for thought. Okay, so right into the serious part. And Jerome, we're going to touch on what you're doing very shortly. But I just want to make sure we have the scene set so everybody gets a good idea as to what's happening and what they can use to support the changes. Okay, so if you have a chance, could you put into the chat what your biggest challenge is within your business right now? So professional challenge in the business. So for you, Gerald, it sounds like you're getting a bit of pushback in terms of how you get to educate the doctors and patients. Anybody else? Meredith, you seem to be a lady that has good knowledge of marketing and sales. What's your challenge? Brianna, what's your challenge? Wilson, again, you got a few answers correct. What's your biggest challenge right now? And Bill?
Okay. Yeah, we have for Meredith, current challenge is really honing in on the right customer.
Nice. Very good, Meredith. Lead cycles on long. Okay, so lead cycles on long, so it takes time to see what works. Yeah, and people are scattered. They're not like honed in on things. Finding product market fit, excellent. Same as Meredith. Okay, so I think a lot has changed, but the challenges are, not that different. Justin, welcome to the call, Justin. So Justin puts in, there's so much noise and so many platforms. I agree, Justin. I can feel your pain. To promote on there doesn't seem to a way to engage with customers at a large scale without any higher expectation than a 30% open rate. Yeah. Like HubSpot, Justin, just to just put it in context, from we're meant to be really good at marketing and sales, and we're undertaking huge challenges in terms of our distribution channels, like that, the open rate, the attendee rate, everything is, like we said, difficult to get to the right person and difficult, to Wilson's point, to fit that person to your product correctly. So that's why we went right back to basics there in terms of, I suppose, we even suggested, I think this is okay for today's call, that IBM revolutionized BANT, and that mantra was familiar to every person, where, your prospects were based simply on their budget, their authority, their needs, their timeline. And that worked in a world where prospects didn't know essentially that they could figure out the solutions to their own problem. Then we got Google, which was great. Prospects were 80% there or towards the buying decision. But now we have ChatGPT and AI, which again, is extremely difficult when we're trying to qualify people, create a process, and understand could the prospect truly benefit essentially from our products and services. Okay, so Gerald has put in the 95% of investors are male. Again, I feel your pain here. Have never given birth. Fantastic, I've done that. So have never experienced incontinence. We cure. Okay, this is interesting. So refuse to invest. Okay, so that's a challenge. So we have a mixed bag of challenges. I think if we put everything into a bracket here, I suppose, like you said, like getting the buyer toward a buyer decision when they first make contact, or bringing them into your business and leading them down that sales pipeline or funnel or flywheel, or the next one I'm going to show you, which is the loop, is quite difficult. Okay, so in HubSpot, we've created a framework. It's called GPCT. Has anyone ever heard of it? And again, you don't have to use it, but just wondering if a yes or no, if you've ever heard of it. Again, we have a lot of different businesses. Bill, nope, not yet. Brianna, okay, so this is the first time you guys have said no, which is interesting. I have not, okay. And you've all heard of Bant. Okay, this is good, good. So, maybe something to learn from. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so not yet. Okay, again, let's go to the next slide. Okay. So again, what is changing? As user behavior changes, AI engines have become an emerging channel that we can capitalize on while protecting our existing demand. So again, I'm going to give you one more acronym for the books. So we're calling this practice AEO. Has anyone heard of AEO before? Okay, thumbs up, Jason. Okay, lads. Okay, fantastic. Okay, is that a group in Connecticut? Okay, a bit of Irish humor in there. Very good. Okay, so then I suppose the big thing here is we've got AEO and we've got GPT. Okay, so again, just to take the challenges you have, how does it differ from GEO? Geo. Okay, so Geo. Okay, you're really hitting me here now. So this is good. So let's just take GPCT first. Okay, so I suppose one process we've developed internally in HubSpot to best qualify, I suppose, whether someone could truly benefit from your products is this framework. Okay, so basically it is understanding goals, plans, challenges, timelines. Super simple, but it's like the ICP or the buyer persona. Sometimes you need to go back to basics to kind of realign in terms of what you need to do. So again, goals, plans, challenges, timeline. I'm going to put a link in the chat. I would recommend you have a look at it at some stage. But we will look at this further in one moment. Okay, so geo, I think, is just location. Let's get this up. Just trying to share screen. Okay, so AEO, everybody is familiar with. So again, let's align this. Excellent, Wilson. Straight off the mark. Answer engine optimization. I'm actually just looking for my... Okay, so again, I imagine everybody would probably agrees with this. In 2028, ChatGPT traffic overtakes Google. Okay, so I have one more question for everybody on the call. And again, let's keep it simple. But what was the last question you asked ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whoever you use today or yesterday? What was the last question, if you don't mind telling us about that? Let's have a look. So again, Jason, you probably were asking about how do you put a baby to sleep? Anybody going to tell us? Oh, nice. I like it, Meredith. Okay, Meredith. straight off the bat. Can Clay, love Clay, use Sales Navigator to pull a list rather than having to manually pull it in Sales Navigator? Brilliant. Brianna, how to streamline lead processes? Fantastic. Wilson, building a value creation ecosystem. Excellent. Wilson, back to your original pain, I suppose. Gerald, what Boston investors invest in medical devices? Excellent. And best practices for landing pages. Excellent. Meredith, reminder, Brianna and I work in the same. Oh, sorry. Okay. Are you sitting beside each other? Jason, is there anything to change or add to this proposal before I send it? Same questions. And it gets super smart. Like, Gerald, I was on a health tech workshop the other day. HubSpot actually is the only CRM that is natively integrated into ChatGPT. So you can take the data in your CRM and ask ChatGPT to, answer questions in terms of the data that you need to pop out. So there was people asking, they were like, can you tell me what the footfall of this hospital in New York is at 5 p.m. on a Friday? We'd spit it out, and then they were like, can you create a proposal to offset HIPAA practices? So it just gets super niche. So again, HubSpot is the only CRM that integrates with ChatGPT. So you can ask these questions directly, take your content and push it back into HubSpot to create those proposals, those sequences, those updates. And it's something I would recommend everybody trial. So Jason, if you want to put the integration into the chat, so if anybody wants to use it. Okay, Gerald, ChatGPT listed in a forestry company in Oregon. It's incredible. I always have to be careful when I'm recording my ChatGPT integration examples, because I could have what's the price of a Japanese import into Ireland on the left screen if anyone was looking, for example. But we're asking a lot of questions. So technically, if we're all honest, the buyer behavior hasn't really, changed that much. It's still, attracting the right people in, but at the moment it's starting with AI tools. So our goals is that we want to identify what are the goals our prospect wants and needs to hit. For example, there are only, and we know this, there are only a few reasons anyone buys a product. And I would say it's make money, save money, or avoid the risk of losing money. Okay. So sometimes companies haven't defined or quantified these goals very effectively, and they haven't determined how essentially their goals relate to their day-to-day metrics. So again, I would suggest creating a few questions around the goals for your ICP is vital. Asking ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, which connects to HubSpot, what are the top priorities of this company in 2022? Do you have published revenue goals for the quarter, for the year, etc.? Very important. So again, the behavior hasn't changed. It's just how we start is different. So this is where the loop comes in. Okay, so I think a few people have you seen the loop before is my next question. Say yes or no on the chat. Thanks for putting that in, Jason. Has everybody seen the loop? So Meredith. So nobody has seen the loop. So again, we spoke about a few different things, but this playbook is basically a 4-stage playbook for customer growth in the era of AI. So you use the loop to take what you're doing, combine the human creativity with AI efficiency to expand that idea of BANT, of attract, convert, close, delight, to understand goals, to understand the plans, now that you have a sense of the prospect's individual company goals or their individual goals. You essentially want to see how this works for your business. So Gerard, in medicine, it's not money, okay, but illness and cure that drives sales. Okay, again, this is your area of expertise. And here we've got the different options. So we looked at the funnel from the 1990s. We looked at the flywheel, And now we've got the loop. Okay. So the loop essentially has 4 stages, as we can see here: express, amplify, evolve, and tailor. Okay. Again, we touched on this. 60% of Google searches end without a click. So brands are losing their shirt right now as website traffic and buyers are getting their answers on the LLMs like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and not to mention customer attention is, to your point, Gerard, and other people on the call, it's scattered. This is what I was saying about HubSpot. Our usual channels like email aren't working. It's YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, podcasts. I was looking at the Diary of a CEO recently, and Pipedrive was advertising on it. So like this has got much more complicated. And I would say HubSpot, hopefully Meredith knows this, as pioneers of inbound marketing and the playbook that has helped businesses attract customers since the early days of the internet, we think that marketing people and salespeople need a new way to grow. And that's why we've introduced this loop model. And it's the idea that the old funnel, where we assume the customers would come to you, they visit the website, they read the blog, they convert. But now we've had to change. So the loop is fundamentally different. It meets the customers everywhere they are. So that's why we honed into customers again at the start of the call. It's using AI to personalize each message at scale effectively, and it turns every interaction into a learning opportunity. And that's what makes the loop strong. So again, we announced it only about 6 months ago, but teams using the loop, we believe, will turn AI into, their competitive advantage. So any questions on the loop here before we move on to the next slide? Okay, Meredith loves it. Great. Meredith, I don't know, it'll surpass the flywheel in your estimation. Hopefully it will. So again, it's a lot of food for thought, but I suppose the loop remains it's about educating the customers. A lot of people don't have, easy personas, but it creates value and it builds relationships. And that's why we've adopted these principles in HubSpot. To a world where buyers or the buyer persona are everywhere except your website. So where AI answers questions before buyers click, and where personalization at scale is essential. Okay. So again, express, I think, to the point I showed you with the picture of me talking on LinkedIn, you need to define the taste, tone, and point of view before bringing in AI. Like if you look at GoPro, they're not going to do white papers, they're going to do videos. So your brand, your identity, and your deep customer understanding are what separates your great content from generic content. And I think this was brought up actually by wasn't Brianna, it was Wilson, I believe. Like, how do you actually build value? So again, using something like HubSpot Connector for ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini to analyze your high value customers and create a brand style guide, for example, that speaks to them, then bring it to life with, for example, Marketing Studio, which is another system in HubSpot, to give it one campaign idea and map it out full strategy across all those channels that we suggested. You can use Breeze Assistant, which is another integration with HubSpot and ChatGPT. Okay. So again, thinking outside the box, where do your customers live? What do they leverage? Like I said, yesterday I was in a group of MBA students, and it was all people from Florida, Warrington University. And then there was like 2 guys from China. And what they did on a day-to-day is they used DeepSeek, Baidu. They didn't use ChatGPT. They didn't use Claude. So again, tailor is the next step, using AI to make something personal, contextual, and relevant at scale. So that's where the baseline of understanding, like we said, and I've asked you this, I suppose, already, the goals, the plans, and then the challenges. And that's the most important moment in any, I suppose, in any sale, when you determine if you can help a prospect overcome their challenges, the ones they're dealing with, or else the ones that you're anticipating. If it's a patient, if you're selling a windmill, or if you're selling a t-shirt. Essentially, most companies don't invest money just to achieve a goal. They prefer to just do more of what they're doing already, and they'll resist change until they really need to make change when things are on fire. And that usually happens because what they've done is it's just not working. They've ran into a challenge and they simply cannot overcome this. So yeah, the trick for you in this case is when you're tailoring that part of the loop, that you want to get prospects to understand that they're stuck. Okay. So again, amplifying, which would be diversifying across channels. Is anybody using, and I feel Meredith and Brianna might be doing this, is anybody using different channels to do business? So again, I'm gonna go old school again. Okay, Meredith, you want to put in a bit of an example of what channels you're using that are different? Bill, fantastic. I'd love to hear, even from my own research, what channels are you using that are different? Again, the Diary of a CEO is like Pipedriver using the Diary of a CEO podcast. What's everybody using? And this happened to me years ago. I was doing a campaign for our Aaron Jumpers. I don't know if you know them, in Ireland. And this guy was like, Cara, we get most of our revenue from Bing ads. And I was like, Bing? Does anyone remember Bing? And I was like, you're joking, are you? Like, I mean, he's like, they're super cheap, Bing, to use because Google AdWords was expensive at the time. I said, what's the story that Bing are actually, bringing most of your revenue? And he said, what happened was people sold a type of computer, Dell, I think, to the older generation, and it had Bing search engine there as default. So therefore, anybody of that era could only search on Bing, and therefore they optimized, their strategy for Bing. Okay, so people have put this in. So yes, different channel partners, excellent direct market builds, social media, excellent. We just started with Bing ads at a very small stage. Rock and roll, Brianna, does that actually work? And what are you selling that will attract this? Incentivized user referral program. I never seem to hit the nail on the head with that, but I think diversifying content across channels to meet the buyers where they're at and showing up not just where the buyers spend time, like TikTok, Reddit, podcast, but where AI provides the answers is key. So bringing it into use the AI engine optimization strategy tool, which I'll show you now, to maximize visibility in LLMs and deploy. So like, again, putting yourself before where they live, before the TikTok, before the Reddit. So you've got your ICP, and then how do I get into where AI is providing answers? So how do I put myself on those pages where people are getting their questions answered, where people are asking for their problems, their challenges to be solved? How do we do that? Okay. So again, Meredith, it's warehouse and storage space. Nice in Boston. Fantastic. Bill, you must tell me, is that incentivized user referral program working? I met actually, the guy, he's a billionaire. He went IPO. He's from Colorado and he got a partnership with Walmart. And he just does coupons, basically. I think it's an American thing. If anybody knows, I can't remember the name of the company, but like that incentivization just took him to the next stage. And that's I saw him on a panel in Colorado. But adding to Brianna's answer, okay. So again, if anybody has any other examples, but the most important point when you want to help like a prospect is to overcome their challenge, and where they're asking for solutions, like all of you just did in real time, which was, can Clay use Sales Navigator to pull a list rather than having to manually? That's a problem. You need a solution. Building a value creation ecosystem. That's a problem. I need a solution. What Boston investors invest in medical devices, and who of them are female, for example. So they're your challenges, and you need to find a solution. And again, I'm going to bring it old school, and I say it's the 3 T's: timing, territory, and talent, okay, to get it to the next step. So let's just go forward here. Oh, okay. So again, express, amplify, evolve, and tailor. Okay. So again, what do we have here? Has anybody laid out? Someone said they had 3 personas. Does it look like this? So you have a piece of content on a space at every place in their buyer's journey. So again, where humans and AI work together in the loop is where we need to iterate quickly and effectively with AI. So again, thinking of that AI engine optimization strategy, thinking of how we actually, define the ICP, define where they're what questions they're asking, and make sure we get visibility in LLMs before they get to the Reddit, before they get to the podcast. And how can we evolve, iterate quickly and effectively? Instead of a 6-month campaign, let's use AI to predict, measure, adapt in real time. Use email engagement optimization to predict engagement before sending. Run rapid experiments. In HubSpot, we always say, get it 60% done, get it out the door, and make it better. Okay, so again, I'm just going to put a link into the chat just to support you a bit further on this. And this is just for, after the call when you say, oh gosh, what happened? These are, there's a method to my madness, okay? So again, we're thinking buyer persona, 1, 2, 3, negative buyer persona, so we don't talk to them. Use your keyword data, research what people are saying on social media, analyze chat scripts and sales calls. So again, the buyer's journey is still the same. If you look below that, people are turning to AI engines for the different stages. Okay, so timeline, it's all about timing. Where and when do they need to achieve their goal? When can they implement their plan? And when do they need to eliminate these challenges? And how can you be there at those moments? If your prospect, your persona doesn't have bandwidth to deal with issues or has more important goals, their timeline might be in the future. And if you have to make a decision whether to invest time or not as a startup, you need to ask the questions. So questions at every stage. Okay, so it's critical to establish. Okay, so again, let's move it to the next slide. Oh yeah, sorry. So, okay, let's bring it right back again. AEO, everybody seems familiar with it. What is it and how? How is what we're going to hone into now. How can I actually use it? How can I use it to increase my company's results? So it's about being part of the answer. So I kind of did food for thought there. It uses stats, quotes, it rewards repetition, and it's a conversion game. Is anyone actively using AI or say AEO in their business at the moment to grow their business? Just as a question. Just put a yes or no into the chat if you don't mind. Just starting, Bill, well done. Last year I mentioned a startup company that developed a way for 34% of women with cancer to leave the presentation at noon to switch my breast cancer. Nice, Gerard. We'll follow up with a recording and meetings link if you want to talk further. But yeah, again, you don't have to implement everything straight away. Okay, thanks, Roy. No sweat. As always, happy to chat. We'll connect, Roy. Okay, so let's just keep moving on this. I think this is a longer presentation, but I know you've been on for a while. So let's just take look, here's your answer. Here's your solution. Take a tool like AEO Grader to understand how your brand is and isn't showing up in AI engines. So again, it's hubspot.com/AEO Grader. Okay, have a look at that. And that will, again, give you your steps that we discussed. When you've got those steps, we mentioned how do you appear before the actual platform of TikTok, or how do they get to you? So again, in an AI era, growth doesn't follow a straight line. It moves fast, dynamic loops, and whether you're following loop marketing framework or GBT, you just need a smarter way to do business. Okay, so these guys here, Kiforia and Dejan, will show you what people are searching in order to find their problem solution. Okay. So again, today we're just going to move on from this one. Does anyone have any questions? I know a lot of people have a hard stop. I'm going to ask for those of you who are left, if you could answer. Thanks, Meredith. Good woman. Very efficient. I'm just going to ask you one by one if you could maybe answer one of these questions into the chat. Not all of them. And it's interesting which question people chose. And again, I was with 50 MBA students yesterday, and they all were young, full of ideas, and they had to answer the same questions as you today. So maybe put into the chat. Oh, ding, Meredith. Can we help you with Meredith, if you want? I'm just going to put my my link into the chat. Also, if to book time like Roy did, he's probably gone now, but okay. Yeah, feel free. We can help out. So again, choose one. So Meredith's gone with like top of the class. Enterprise, HubSpot. What about how would you describe your team to a new hire in just 3 words? This was interesting yesterday because most of the students from Florida chose to answer this question. And it was interesting the words they had. Brianna, our team, agile, love it, positive and collaborative. Okay, so that's fairly solid. It's fairly solid. Anybody else? All about results, Bill. Hardcore. Have you got them in the boiler room, Bill? On the phones. I remember when we first started in HubSpot, that's what we were like. Excellent. Okay. So again, collaborative challenge. Last one. What song gets you moving? Maybe drop it in the chat. Any song that gets you moving. And again, there's lots of things that get people up and moving. There's lots of ways to help people grow, but it's always powered by humans and AI. So again, working together to express our message, tailoring it to our audience, amplifying it across channels, and evolving it in real time. Most songs from Mamma Mia, you sound like, I don't know how old you are, Brianna, but that's my mother's answer. Okay. And again, no pressure. You've given quite a lot of time today. And what I would say is thank you for that time. Oh, nice, Bill. It's been such a long time. That's a hardcore one. But yeah, so well done for everybody on the call today, shipping up to Boston. And what I would say is excellent job. Let's embrace any tidbits you've learned today. If it's loop marketing, if it's that connector with ChatGPT, HubSpot, Gemini, and Claude that you can use to pull data. Anything you felt was useless or Dropkick Murphys. I feel like I've seen them in real time. They're Irish, are they? But yeah, today, anything that was relevant, take it away, use it, implement it. We'll follow up with a pack of information that we sent and links. Our mission is to inspire, founders to get active essentially and kind of, I suppose, love the sales and marketing process by using AI and, who you are as a person to achieve your goals. So again, thanks a million for your time. I would say Brianna and Meredith are definitely the winners of today's competition, and they're based in the same office. So do send us your email address, or sorry, your postal addresses, and we'll send you on the Brad Feld book and some water bottles. But I will make sure everybody gets a bit of swag, as they say, for the people who are still on the call today. And again, thank you for your time. Our co-founder Dharmesh always says success is making those who believed in you look brilliant. So well done and appreciate it. And yeah, good luck. Let's stay focused and have a great rest of day. Thanks, guys. Bye, Meredith. Bill, thanks a million. Brianna. Thank you. Okay, all set, Jason.